Hello there and welcome back to Midlife Rises. I'm Cheryl. We are in the Lent season, which is the 40 days and nights that Jesus was in the wilderness. He was tormented around this time and then crucified. On Easter Sunday, he woke up and was walking around in the Spirit. So this is a very serious time we're in. In the last session, I was talking about understanding what rock we should be standing on. So I think this is a good time to cover, the holy season. We tend to gravitate to different things to validate us. Our salaries, property, education, or even another individual. We very seldom count on self or the divine, which is part of the problem. So I want to take time to cover certain things, and I'd like to make this episode about everyone as opposed to doing the regular woman to woman. A lot of times we have men sitting in on these sessions. Because we're in the Lent season, trials and tribulations tend to double up simply because it's that holy time. Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days. This is God. And the devil still tried him. So back to what I was saying in the last episode, when we have these times of trials and tribulations, just know that there's a gift, there's a breakthrough that comes. So just sit tight and ride through that storm. I was talking about these challenges and how we should embrace them. I know it's not easy, but know that there will be a breakthrough at the end of it all, because the work was done. This is what this whole season is all about. The work was done. We just have to do our due diligence. Once we go through the episodes, there will be a breakthrough, a gift. And how do I know? It's because the work was already done. That's what these 40 days and 40 nights was all about. If our path was cleared, we just have to keep the faith in knowing that things will work itself out. You take care of what you can take care of and just surrender the rest. You will know when it's time to step back and leave it to the universe, the divine, whomever you want to address the upper being as. It does get taken care of. This is the reason why we have to be conscious of the things that we do. It's important to do the right thing always, especially when no one is looking. That also includes the way we deal with one another. These things are super important. I know that I might sound like a broken record because I'm saying the same thing over and over, but trust me when I tell you, it's important to be conscious of these things because things have a way, of coming back around. It's called karma. And it doesn't need a forwarding address. It will find you when it's time. I'm gonna go a little to the left in my conversation because I'm now trying to address both men and women with this session. I want to talk about trauma. The trauma that some of us experience while we are working our way through life. I've had an up close and personal experience with this thing on more than one occasion, and exactly what it does to the ones that have experienced it. Now, we all have had some kind of trauma at one point in our life. This could have been brought on by any one thing that could have been considered traumatic, whether it was physical, emotional, sexual abuse, neglect. These things can take a negative effect, especially when it occurs during childhood. What happens after that is not only sad, but very serious, because it can actually stunt the growth of the individual that decides to suppress these feelings. Then they turn into something very bad and is let loose in the world as an adult. You see where I'm going with this? These individuals are usually very easy to pinpoint. They live their lives recklessly. There is absolutely no form of control for anything, which means various addictions. This is what takes place in order for them to cope. When I talk about these things, I go back to my own childhood. And, I think to myself what I went through and how I dealt with it, how I was able to turn the negative into positives, to go within myself and to pull whatever was going on out, so that I can heal. But who am I to say what the other person experienced, how much more severe of an experience they had? Then I pull back and I'm thinking to myself, there has to be a point where an individual makes a decision, because no matter what, we have choices. We have choices on what kind of conversations we decide to have with ourselves. What are we saying about what happened, what took place? So this brings me to what I was, talking about in previous episodes on having that me time, taking the quiet time, getting rid of the television and the cell phones and just listening to what you have to say to yourself. What is your story? Because we all have our own private talk show. What is it that we are telling ourselves? What is our perception on what took place? Are we blaming ourselves for what happened? How are we going to fix things going forward? These are all choices. Which brings me now to the second part of it, respect. Are we respecting ourselves and what took place for us to have the benefits that we have now? We are in the Lent season. What took place? What did God do, or Jesus? What sacrifice did he make? He gave himself on the cross. He died for our sins. And why did he do that? So that we can have the benefit of having the peace and the happiness, the fruit of the Spirit. These are the things that we have to look at. When I talk about respect for our temple. Years back, when I was a teenager, I got involved in smoking cigarettes. I always did swimming, and eventually I started doing laps. So it was being counterproductive to be smoking cigarettes. I was never a heavy smoker, but I did it. And I would always think to myself, what kind of damage is it doing in the back end? So every time I lit one up, I would think, oh my God, what am I doing in the back end? And I continued with this self-talk and this consciousness until I got rid of the habit. It's the same concept here, where these addictions that we pick up because we are trying to suppress what took place or what we don't want to face, without thinking about what we're doing to our temple at the end of it all. What would be the repercussions of what we're doing today, so that we can get rid of the thoughts of whatever battles we're having from within. We don't make that decision to respect our temple or to respect what work was done so that we can have these benefits. It's the same concept also with our parents, the sacrifices that they made in order for us to have a better life. We are not doing the carrying of the stick properly if we are continuing to be self-destructive. It all intertwines with what Jesus did around this time, so that we can have the comfort to live a fulfilling life. We had something that happened to us, but it was in the past. It already went. What decisions are being made for the present? The past is gone. The future's not here yet. The only thing we have at this time is the present. What kind of choice are we going to make? Because there will be a tomorrow with the repercussions of what we're doing today. How much respect are we showing our temple when we are doing the reckless living, things that are entertaining the darkness? One thing that I do know, and that I will share with you, is that when we have these addictive behaviors and it's on a constant basis, it's because something else is going on, and not, the battles, but we opened ourselves up to darkness. And when you do that, you are welcoming things to join in the fun, because the enemy is not going to allow you to just walk away when you are living in this realm of darkness. No, there will be other things joining in to keep you in these addictive and reckless behaviors. So this is where the consciousness and the respect for what was done years ago, so that we can have the light, we can have the peace and the happiness. Make that decision to not entertain the darkness that way. Go within and, go for therapy if you need to. But make the decision, make the choice to go within and bring out all of the deep darkness, because the negative emotions, the envy, jealousy, vindictiveness, these are all things of darkness. And when you are on that path, there is no light there. When you make the decision to overlook the inner battles and not heal, to have these vindictive behaviors, envy, jealousy, there will be no light there. There will be no peace. And as time goes on, more and more darkness will come in that brings in depression and all of the other negative emotions. The enemy pretty much gets to take us over when we decide to romance the bitterness and anger of the past traumas. When we decide to run around and look for people to bleed on that didn't cause the cut. This is when you become a disciple of the enemy. And then you start to do other things that is not of the light. They did say that we are not battling against flesh. I'm not a person that knows the Bible from cover to cover, but I am very conscious of the enemy and what he is capable of. This is why I always talk about watching how you treat others and doing the right thing when no one is looking, especially when no one is looking. Because as simple as I'm saying it, bad things can happen when you decide to not do the work, to not heal from your past traumas. It truly does not correct anything when we make a decision to romance past traumas, to not heal. It's best to go within and to deal with your inner pain head on. That's the only way to take care of this. The work was done for us. Gain the strength to ask for help. Learn how to pray, because nothing happens without that. And start to bring in the light. Because you cannot do this alone. But you have to come to terms with what is taking place. Doing the robotic thing is not going to fix anything. In fact, it will do more damage, as you already know. This time, the Lent season, the work was done. Make a choice and take advantage of what's already done. The sacrifice was made. You just have to make a choice to be part of it. Okay? Thank you so much for joining me. We come on every first and third Thursday of the month. Actually, I was given more time. It is now the first and third Tuesday and Thursday of the month. Yay! So whenever you have the time, please fall in and join me. Okay, I look forward to it. Happy Easter to you and your family, and we will see you next time. You take care now. Bye. Amen.